Hey everybody, and welcome to the Midlantic Gaming Channel. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about Tokyo Mirage Sessions FE. As you can see, I've got my Cemu emulator, the Wii U emulator, pulled up on the latest version released to the public, which is 1.17.2. And before we get started talking about the game, I just wanted to go over some of my settings. I really recommend with Cemu starting out just using whatever the defaults are. But if I go to general settings here, graphics, I am using the OpenGL backend. They have the experimental Vulkan backend, but from what I've heard, OpenGL it's still probably your best bet if you're using an NVIDIA graphics adapter. Again, I have VSync turned off, but I'm still using VSync because in the NVIDIA control panel, or whatever it's called, I have VSync turned on for everything. So I don't have to set it inside the emulator. It's always going to be on. But these are just, I'm not going to go over everything. Just wanted to bring up the screen so you can just see what my current settings are. For audio, I'm using direct sound, but you may choose to use X Audio 2. I also have an account set up on the account tab for internet access. And for input, let me make this a little larger here. I'm using my handy dandy wired Xbox One controller, which I have set up as X input. And it's emulating a Wii U gamepad. For this game, I also set up, looks like I have the space key on my keyboard set up to show the secondary screen, which would be like the screen that's on the actual Wii U gamepad. Because this game does require you to switch back pretty frequently and back and forth between like the regular screen and the what's on the gamepad. So I just choose to use the space key on my keyboard. You can also choose the game, in this case Tokyo Mirage Sessions, and download the latest graphics packs, which give you several different options. I don't believe any of them are absolutely needed to fix anything, but there are some enhancements that you can turn on, and looks like a static 60 frames per second mod as well. So you can play with those as you like. Edit game profile. On the general tab, I'm loading shared libraries. I have the CPU mode set to triple core recompiler. My CPU is multi-core. It is an i7 8700K. Again, I haven't overclocked it. I'm running at the stock 3.7 gigahertz. And for thread quantum, I have it set to this last one down here. I think it defaults to this one. I'm not really sure what the difference is. That's just, I think I just set it to that to play with it a little bit. But again, I recommend going with defaults, but in 1.17.2, there are supposed to be enhancements for the triple core and I think dual core. Anything above the single core recompiler. Because I think these might have been problematic in previous versions. So I've got most things set to this now. But if you have problems with this setting, just go ahead and drop back down to the single core recompiler. For graphic, don't have this box ticked and left it at the defaults here. We have true and low, and controller, you don't have to set anything here because I've defined it under input settings. Okay, let's go ahead and see if we can launch this game. And it's going to take a moment to compile my cached shaders. And normally I launch this through Launchbox, which launches it in full screen for me automatically, but I'm going to go ahead and choose the full screen option to make it look a little bit better for you. Now, if you're unfamiliar, Tokyo Mirage Sessions FE was a game that was released for the Wii U console. Well, at least originally. And it was sort of hyped as being sort of a combination of Persona and Fire Emblem. But the problem with that is that it's not Persona-y enough, and it's not Fire Emblem-y enough. And what I mean is, it's very difficult to see the connection to Persona. I think a better approach to this would have been if they had taken characters from multiple Persona games and sort of thrown them into the same universe. That could have been the Persona side of it. For the Fire Emblem side of it, it just contains a handful of Fire Emblem characters who are just sort of there. There's not really much Fire Emblem brought into the game as far as, like, if you ever played a Fire Emblem game, I think your reaction to this game is going to be, well, there are some characters I recognize. And that's about it. With, of course, the FE in the title standing for Fire Emblem. Other than that, that's... And also, I don't think the game was very successful because I feel like you're already targeting a small market of people who are going to be Persona fans and or people who are going to be Fire Emblem fans who also happened to own Wii U consoles. I feel like the Wii U is a very unpopular console. I have one, but I don't really know anyone else that had one, and I think that's the case for a lot of people. You either didn't have one or you didn't know anyone that had one. It did not sell very well. So I think you just sort of got a very limited market that would want this game. And for the people that did meet that criteria, I think a lot of people were upset because they were expecting a Persona Fire Emblem sort of crossover, and they were sort of disappointed in what the game actually was. I liked the game well enough. I've played through it. But you can't talk about this game without talking about censorship, especially here in the West. As you all know, I'm in the United States. So this game got released in Japan on the Wii U. And when it got released here in the West for the Wii U, we got a very censored version. One that did things like it covered up a lot of like cleavage on female characters. It infamously changed a part of the game in which one of the characters, Tsubasa, was getting into her first experience with gravure modeling. Gravure. Clearly, I don't know how to pronounce this word. Let's move past it. She was, in the game, she's very nervous about it. She's not sure if she wants to do it because that type of modeling is usually in sort of a very skimpy, bikini or something like that. It shows a lot of skin. It's very revealing. And there's this whole arc in the game where she's dealing with her feelings about that and trying to, decide, is that something she actually wants to do? And she eventually overcomes it. And there's a scene where she sort of takes her clothes off and she's wearing it's a very revealing bikini. But again, I can't stress this enough. This game, never even in its original form, contained any nudity. There's a lot of skin being shown, but there is no total nudity. Which, it kind of upsets me that we felt the need in the West to change it, to have a censored version, because I for one believe that, human bodies are different, even though I think, uh, males and females are capable of doing the same things. I don't think one's necessarily inferior to the other, but I think there are differences biologically that you can't deny. And I don't like it when a company tries to cover those up, or when even an entire country decides, we can't let our viewers see, we can't let our citizens see this. I think that's a little insane, and because we all have bodies, they're all different. I don't really understand the need to cover up some things like even cleavage. As long as I can maybe see it if the game had full frontal nudity, or maybe you could see everything, but for just a little bit of cleavage, that's not technically nudity. And at some point, we've got to realize that sometimes that having breasts is, and it's part of being a woman. It's people have certain parts of the anatomy, and covering them up doesn't make that go away. I don't want to get too far off topic here, but I'm also the type of person that believes that we shouldn't hide sexuality. We should discuss it openly and not treat it poorly, because again, here in the West, at least in the US, which is where I'm from and what I'm familiar with, we tend to, teach children that, sexuality is bad, that having sex is a bad thing, and certain parts of the body should be covered up, and we really instill in our youth that it's bad. Which, of course it isn't. It's a natural part of life, and, even having sex is something that, as humans, we're sort of hardwired to do. I mean, you're telling kids that this is a bad thing they shouldn't do, but in the meantime, their minds, their bodies, everything else is telling them this is absolutely what they should be doing, because that's how, our species survives. So yeah, I guess in the end, I never understand censorship like this. But for this game, for that modeling scene, what we got in the West was, instead of Tsubasa, overcoming her fear and her doubts of doing that type of thing with her career, and finally overcoming it and putting on the bikini to do the photo shoot, instead, we got a version in which she changes clothes to a less revealing outfit that honestly looks like she looks like a rejected extra from an episode of Saved by the Bell. It's weird. I'll see if I can get a picture and put up for you guys. But it's weird. It doesn't fit with that section of the game very well, because for the gravure modeling, like you can understand why someone might not want to reveal so much skin. You can understand why they may have doubts about doing it, but when you see the outfit that she put on in the Western release of this, like, the build-up doesn't make sense. Like, it's like, why would you ever have been concerned about that? This is just, it makes no sense story-wise. And I think for me, that was one of the elements that, even after I bought the game on the Wii U, I don't think I ever played it all the way through on the Wii U, because the censorship was just a little too much. It was kind of crazy. And in my opinion, for a game that, really contained no nudity or anything like that, it did not need to be censored in the least. But, and you can probably still find it out there, what I did was I found a patch that would modify files on your hard disk. So if you had a copy of the game, like an ISO or whatever, of the Western release, you could apply this patch to it, and it would fix it up and basically put back any scenes or any character models that had been censored with the original ones from the Japanese version. Okay, let's cut to present day, and many of you may know, there was a Tokyo Mirage Sessions FE Encore released recently. I think it came out maybe back in January for the Nintendo Switch. Okay, the Nintendo Switch, a clearly much more popular console than the Wii U. And to have this game on it, I thought immediately when I heard the announcement for this game, I thought, fantastic, I'm absolutely going to buy that. And I bought it anyway. But I haven't played it yet because shortly after its announcement back in 2019, what we found out was the game, the Switch version, the Encore version, was actually based on the changes we made to it here in the West. So this time around, there was even the Japanese version is the quote-unquote censored version. But because this game and the same version got released here in the West for the Switch, but because the original Japanese version of the game was censored, and I'm using that term kind of loosely here because since it started out with nothing needing to be changed, technically the version of Encore we got in the West is not censored because the original Encore game already had the changes in it that we would have done to censor it. So it's like it started that way. So technically what we got is an uncensored game. It just basically contains all the censoring we did in the last Wii U version of it. Which I think is ridiculous, again. So to me, the only way to play this game is basically to get the patch that sets it back, get the Wii U version of it, get the patch that sets everything back to the way it is in the Wii U Japanese version, and play it on an emulator like Cemu. It works pretty well. Cemu has been compatible with this game for a while, definitely over a year, because it's been a while since I've played through it. But I did so on a much older version of Cemu, so I suspect that it should be very playable on the most recent release. Gonna go ahead and skip the movie. You don't have to, but I want to see if I can get to some actual gameplay here. And the fact that the Atlas is involved in this game, really shocked me that it didn't contain a little more Persona or more Persona elements. Fortunately, I can't skip this part. And no, that's not a side effect of the emulator. Usually crowds and what I would just consider to be extras in any scene are usually just silhouettes that are all filled in as one color. If you're an anime fan, you've probably seen animes that do the same thing for large crowds, where they're just like silhouetted because they're not really important. You just need to know that there is a crowd of people. And this is your main character, Itsuki. And here's the part telling you can check your topics on the Wii U gamepad, and you'll get that button down. You'll get that thing on the bottom of the screen there that says topic and down. So I'm going to press the space bar. Hold on, sorry about that. I'm going to press the space bar. I'm going to try to press the space bar. move my mouse over and say read urgent topic. I'm just going to click on it. And sorry for all that, the screen popping on and off like that. What it is to make room for something else I plugged into my computer, I moved the receiver from my wireless Logitech keyboard to a port on the back of my computer, and it is clearly not a good place. There must be a lot of interference or something, because if I'm not holding this thing in just the right way, it won't recognize my key presses. But anyway, we can see a little conversation with Toma. You can respond to it. Usually gives you a couple of options like it just did, so you get to choose what you want to say. And he sees Tsubasa. And okay. I think I just go around here. It's been a little while since I've played this. Okay, and let's talk to Tsubasa. I don't think we're too far away from some actual gameplay, so just got to get through this little dialogue section. There's just something about that expression. That was... something seemed off there. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Okay, so guess we're heading into the back. Okay, so what we've got is just sort of a contest to see who everybody wants to be an idol. Which also doesn't appear to be skippable. And Tsubasa is one of the contestants. This weird, like, spirit thing has appeared behind her, and then, if I recall, the MC there starts acting weird and kind of bringing up some messed up shit about Tsubasa. And you learn that Tsubasa's sister was an idol. But that she had vanished during the mass disappearance. And then lots of bad guys. And that's pretty much what the bad guys do in this. They're collecting performa, which I don't know how to describe it. It's like the life force of those in the performing arts. I guess without performa, everybody would be just dull and lifeless and just not creative at all. Now, throughout the game, you'll meet other characters and people will join your party. But for the most part, the game is running through dungeons. It's going up to these little gateways, which will lead you into the dungeons. And then going into the dungeons. Like so. Okay, so we've got to apparently hurry into the depths of this place. This creepy place we've never been to, and yeah, let's hurry further in, shall we? I actually did not mean to go into that system menu. It controls pretty much like you would expect any game like this to control. I mean, if you've played, you can see that sort of that third person going through a dungeon exploration type game. Like you've probably played games like it. Is my point. Oh my God, Toma! Nobody has time for you right now. So we're gonna keep running. It's pretty linear. At least this first dungeon's pretty linear, so we're just gonna follow the path. Can't really go wrong as long as we keep moving forward. A button to go down. We'll keep heading down the path. Another little cutscene. And again, I don't think I turned on any of the graphic pack enhancements for this game, so your mileage may vary, but you probably noticed it was kind of a little wonky looking there for a moment. I want to just get to at least one battle just to show that to you and maybe show you, you know, the Fire Emblem side of this. Some of the Fire Emblem characters that appear. Okay, so we see Tsubasa getting choked out by someone. But surprise, the guy that's been following you is actually a good guy. Well, now he's good because you freed him by using your super protagonist powers. So hey, look everybody, it's a Fire Emblem character. So now we can say, this is a Fire Emblem game. And I don't want to sound like I'm shitting on the game because as a Persona Fire Emblem crossover, it's bad. It's bad at being that. But overall, it's really not an awful game. And a lot of my problems with it come from the censorship that we got in the West, which again you can patch around that in this Wii U version. And like I said, I also own the Encore edition on the Switch. And eventually, maybe one day I'll play through it. It's just, I feel like if you want the best experience playing Tokyo Mirage Sessions, then your best bet is to play the patched, uncensored version on the Wii U or on a Wii U emulator. Or I guess if you're fortunate enough to be able to read and speak Japanese, then just play the game on the Wii U. Play the Japanese version of the game. But if you're like me and you're in the West and you don't read and speak Japanese, you're gonna want to patch the Wii U version. I'm gonna go ahead and skip because we got to see a couple of Fire Emblem characters get introduced, and just wanted to go over how the battles work. Okay, typical RPG fare. You can use items, skills, escape from battle, guard, just attack. Let's see, what do I have under skills? Okay, we have Zio, which I guess is another element of Persona, some of these attack names and skill names. Okay, we got a little question mark on these guys because we don't yet know how they're going to respond to each type of attack. So this is a lightning attack, so let's try it out on this guy over here. And he's weak against it. And Dia, which is a healing attack. So I'm just going to attack. And since we just weakened that one guy in the back there, I'm going to attack him and see if we can finish him off. Okay, and this time, on this big guy, we haven't used the Zeo attack on him yet, so we still have a question mark. But since we used it on one of this other type, we now can see that he is weak against lightning. So let's try it on the big guy. And he is also weak. But he has a bit more HP than those little guys did, so... Took one extra attack to beat this guy. And we level up a little bit. Okay, there are a number of characters that end up joining you. All people that are sort of in the performing arts, and it's got a cute little story to it. It's overall not a bad game, but like I said, if you're looking at it as being a Persona game or a Fire Emblem game, you're gonna be disappointed. Don't go into it like that. Just go into it thinking like, here's a JRPG. And I think it's acceptable. I think you'll really enjoy playing through it. Just don't build your hopes up into wanting it to be Persona or Fire Emblem, because it just doesn't do either of those things as well as a fan of either series is going to want it to do. But overall, it's a good game. I do recommend playing through it. You can even play through Encore on the Nintendo Switch if the censorship doesn't bother you. But honestly, I feel like it probably will, because some of it's just like the whole Tsubasa gravure modeling thing. It's a little ridiculous what we ended up with versus the original concept behind that part of the game. And if you want to buy a physical copy, I will place a link down below in the description where you can find it on Amazon. It is an affiliate link, so if you purchase the game through Amazon, I do make a little bit of money off that, but it's not a whole lot. I'm not going to be able to quit my day job over it and do this full time based on that, but it is a little something extra that will help keep this channel going and help me build it up and hopefully introduce new features and new things that you guys will enjoy watching. Besides that, go ahead and leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you thought of the video. Give it a like if you liked it. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And watch out for any future updates. I've got new content coming every week. So I hope you'll check back and keep watching the Midlantic Gaming Channel. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.